the Nissan Rogue SV. For about $30,000, what this is equipped at, you would be dumbfounded at how great it is just in the overall usability, and that's what I'm going to cover. You're buying this because you need a straight up NPC vehicle that can haul, that can put people in it, that you can be comfortable and never think about anything, and that's what it does great. When you're on the highway, it's just quiet enough. When you're driving around town, it has the flexibility and storage. It has all the nooks and crannies, like this thing here to put your purse or Jack's killer water bottle that would impale me if it flew somewhere. It's got a place for your phone. It's got a great armrest. It's got great storage in the doors. There's no piano black littered all over the place. The soft touch materials are good. The steering wheel is in some obtuse shape that makes me pissed off to drive it. The infotainment just works. It's got all physical controls. So what's not to like? Well, I could keep going on and on about how much I like this thing, and it makes sense why there's 6 billion of them on the road. Yes, they have some problems with the brand image from enthusiasts that know that the transmissions have shrapneled themselves for years. But when you get over that, assuming this is going to be reliable, it does everything that you want a daily driver to do. Underneath the Nissan Rogue SV, this has all-wheel drive and a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine. Well, you're looking for an SUV in the $30,000 price range, you may not care about the underneath, but I'm going to hit you with a few details. This is called the Rogue in the United States, but in other countries it's something else. That's because they've scaled this out as a global platform. It sells everywhere, which means Nissan has spent billions of dollars on this platform, making sure they can make a ton of them, getting them in and out of manufacturing quickly. They've optimized the plant flow for these things. They're everywhere, and the parts are a dime a dozen. Things like brake rotors, pads are cheap, tires are cheap, consumables are cheap, and even assembly process, you can see things like the sway bar end links. They're easy to get off when they rot out, when the ball joints go bad and they start clunking. And because they've spent so much money on this, there's even more upscale features like this carpeted underbody that reduces road noise and vibration. There's a lot of aluminum under here for a car of this price point compared to like a Kia and Hyundai or even Honda and Toyota. You have aluminum control arms and a knuckle for the strut. The back has an aluminum upper control arm, and it has camber and toe adjustment in the back. So when you curb this thing in the drive-thru, your mechanic can go back there and readjust your alignment, get you back in a spec, assuming it's not all rotted out. I think that the core of this is, for 30 grand, you're getting a lot, because this is a hyper important car to Nissan. Without this, they're in some big trouble financially, so they need to make sure that this is right. Now, of course, there's going to be arguments in the past with CVTs, which we've covered before, but I think there's a lot that's going on here. I think this is a good value for the money for what they're delivering, but let's see how it drives. Well, Jack, gonna let this baby off the leash a little bit. We're gonna put it in M mode for Mark.
We put this into sport as well on the jog dial.
Yeah, here we go.
Finally, we're back into God's product. A vehicle with not an e-CVT, forgive me, a regular CVT. Oh, that sounds sweet.
All right, let's talk about it, Jack. We got Nissan's one of their biggest commodity products, right? This is one of the most important things they sell, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, joking aside about the fact that it has a Jatco CVT and it's a CUV with a turbocharged engine, it's a good car.
What makes this, why do people buy the hell out of these? Why do you see them at every corner? What do you think it is, besides the price?
I think when you look at this thing and the usability and the fact that it is sort of that bread box, but I think it gives you just everything you need in a regular car, and it's no bullshit outside of the CVT, right? You have all physical controls, it's got a lot of space, they're There are 4, 5 usable seats in this thing, a big trunk. It does everything well, or at least well enough, where someone would probably not hate themselves driving this thing. It's not going to be the most inspiring thing in the world.
I don't agree with you at all.
How so?
It's the brakes. The ABS tuning, Jack, is incredible on this thing.
Such an asshole.
No, I mean, it's really hard to get excited about talking about something like this, but I drove this a lot, and compared to like the last gen CRV and things like that, I actually like this interior more. I don't know what it is about the interior space that everything is so logical. There's so little thought that you have to put in here that I can forgive pretty much any type of problems this has in terms of drivability because I like being in it so much. This is about the second time I almost got us T-boned today too.
Well, it's because you're in an NPC mobile.
Yeah,
You might as well.
I just pull out, not looking. I just fucking fall asleep.
I'm
at the
surprised
wheel.
you're even looking out on the road. You might as well be staring at your phone.
If this thing drove itself, I would just be sitting here, my code would break. I'd probably be screaming on my Bluetooth calls. I really like driving this car.
So
and the more I've driven it, the more I understand why there's a cajillion of them on the road other than just
144-month financing?
Yeah, aside from that, I really, if I had to recommend, like, hey, I'm looking for something that just is simple, no bullshit, the Rogue, I really prefer it in many ways to the RAV4, I'll be honest, in terms of interior space.
While I agree that at least at face value, the interior space in this thing is not bad. It's actually pretty nice, particularly compared to the cheaper RAV4s. I do think its primary selling point, though, is price.
Yeah.
Like an XLE RAV4, which has a cloth interior, is actually more than this.
Yeah.
And it's not as nice on the inside. That said, I think the RAV4 does fill me with a little more confidence for long-term durability and all that other fun stuff.
Yeah. It's really, really hard to compete in a segment where every single brand copies each other. Every single brand is like, stealing one another, what works here, what's here, and they all become clones of each other. So how do you even differentiate anymore?
I think it comes down to personal preference. And if you are going to spend your hard-earned money in this segment of vehicle, I suggest you test drive at least the RAV4 and the new CRV.
I suggest you spend about 16 months test driving every SUV on the planet. Because, I mean, it's honestly, that's what I'm asking. If you got in the RAV4, the CRV, this thing, the Tucson...
I would take the RAV4 because it's got physical gears. Or
CX-5, I could keep going down the list for another 20 minutes. How do you, as a customer, decide after you drive all these, you don't even know what's good anymore? Like, the only reason we know is because we've driven everything. In the RAV4, you just assume it's not going to break and it's not going to lose your ass on value. That's the only reason we recommend it. But why would you recommend this? How is it any different?
Because historically, Nissans don't have the best residuals, and the CVTs have not fulfilled anyone with great confidence and reliability. Time will tell, though.
I don't even know where the traction control off. Oh, it's in the gauge cluster. Nobody's going to ever turn it off because I want to do some...
So, Mark, with that, before you get us into another accident...
Yeah, maybe I should back off now, because I'm third time's the 3 strikes you're out rule today, Jack.
All
Get
right.
out. Get out while we're in a moving car. I don't have insurance anyway. It's on you.
Are your tags expired too?
Yeah, my tags are expired. I'm driving on a suspended license. Final thoughts on the Nissan Rogue. Now, we already did a video on this when it was released, the updated version, and not much has changed. And I'm trying to look at these affordable commodity products like the Rogue, like the CRVs, like the RAV4s. I'm trying to revisit a lot of these because they sell hundreds of thousands of units a year. This is what the mass majority of people are driving. So I'm really trying to dissect what makes them good, what makes them bad, and why people are so attracted to them. In the case of the Rogue, it's pretty obvious. Everything in the interior works well. Literally anybody that's ever been behind the wheel of the car before can get in this and feel really comfortable. It's quiet. It just blends into the background. It's not shouty. It's comfortable. You can load a ton of stuff in it. And I think it's just easy to use every day without raising any red flags. The fact that there's so many of them means a lot of the consumables are cheap for it. You can do maintenance relatively easy. You can take it anywhere to service it. And I think there's this element of like boringness and blandness of the fact that you don't think about it, and that's what a lot of people want from their car, and it does that very well. Now, the things that I don't particularly like about it is it's dead off the line. Like if you really need to merge or something and you're from a dead stop and you floor it, like nothing is happening, nobody's home. And I think that's the biggest issue I have with it, other than the droniness of the CVT. It's like, if you drive a little bit more aggressively, and the fake engine noise that it has, it's just, it wears on you a little bit. But most people don't care about the drivetrain. The fuel efficiency is pretty decent. I got almost 30 miles to the gallon driving this. And I would say between the audio system, between the comfort, for $30,000, if you're buying this for 30 or under that, you're really gonna be happy. It may be boring, you may lose it in the parking lot, but I think most people are just gonna appreciate the simplicity. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next video.